Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel for episode 2 from the top. Today we'll be going over primers, everything about them from beginning to end. What are they, how you use them, the differences, how to pick out one, all that good stuff. So if you want to see that, make sure to stay tuned. But first, you gotta subscribe, like, duh. First I want to address the elephant in the room. I'm not naked. I have on a tube top. Okay, for starters, if you're a beginner when it comes to makeup and you missed episode 1 of From the Top, go click that link. It's going to be above and in the description box to go over how to get your beginner's makeup kit, all the products you need for a full face for beginners. But let's get into it. What's a primer? Primer is something that everyday people are just now starting to find out about. I think it's always existed. It's something that has always been around, but it just wasn't something that you knew about. When it comes to makeup, the basics that you always hear about is foundation. Everybody knows what mascara is. People know about lip products. People are starting to get more and more into brows, so people hear about brow products. But when you hear the word primer, people are more so like, what is that? They aren't sure what it is because it's not as common to the everyday person that doesn't deal with makeup. So what is primer? Basically what a primer does is allowing your skin to behave how it wants to under the makeup so that it does not disrupt the products that you're putting on top of your face, which is why a lot of times when you wear a primer, it will help with longevity, oil control, things like that, because it's as if it's giving a barrier. Your skin can do what it wants underneath, as well as being nourished and taken care of, and the products can be on top and not be disturbed. So you put primer on, and basically what it does is it's a founding base for all your makeup, and it works with it in the way that it wears throughout the day. So it can help with longevity, it can help with oil control, it can help making sure that you're hydrated, making sure that everything is under control in the way that it affects the rest of the products that goes on your face. So you can compare primer with makeup to primer with painting. When you're painting something, you always have to prime first, otherwise you're going to have to put on lots of layers because you'll be able to see through it, basically helping with the longevity, the way it wears, and the way that the paint lasts. That's the same way with makeup. So primer has a lot of effects in the way your makeup wears, how it looks, how it feels, how the product is acting. All of that can be changed and counteracted with a primer and the way a primer works for you. So to go into more depth what primer is and what it does, it is multi-purpose. So like I said before, it works as a base. It's something that helps with skincare because it works as a barrier between the products and the foundation that you're putting on top of your skin and gives it something in between there to block it. So if for some reason you feel like you're breaking out because of the makeup that you're wearing, it might be because you're not wearing a primer and those products are getting deep into your skin. But if you wear a primer, that would give you something to give a block, so it's not like you're just putting all these products constantly directly on top of your skin. It's giving you something in between. Additional things that primers do is fill pores and lines, controls oils, hydrates skin, and it gives something for your primer to stick to, so it's not just going directly on your skin. Getting more into depth into the types of primer. Primers can come into lots of different forms. There are gels, there are serums, there are balms, there are mists and sprays. There are lots of different ways that primers can come. To get more into the science of it, there are 2 different types of primers. There are silicone-based primers, and then there are non-silicone-based primers, which are usually more water-based. So silicone-based primers smooth everything over. They fill in pores, fine lines, and basically just give everything a smooth finish so that when you put your foundation on top, it looks smooth. A lot of times when people put on those type of primers, they'll look super flawless. It's like you can see an instant difference because it actually is filling those imperfections and those little dips and grooves throughout your skin underneath. Your base that you're putting on top of it is having something smoother to go on top of, so that's how it reflects when you see it. Those ones even everything out underneath so it can stay put longer. You won't get like those fine lines, cracks, things like that throughout the day. A lot of time those are really good to help with oil control. Silicone-free primers more so work with your skin, and they help nourish and give your skin a preparation and a base for whatever you're putting on to stick to it and give it more like a grip effect so that it sticks down and lasts longer. Now that you know what a primer is, I'm going to talk to you guys about how to put them on and how much to wear. So when you wear a primer, you don't want to put on a lot. It's not a product that you do over and over again to build up. You want a thin layer so that you can give a smooth finished base. You don't want any buildup. You don't want any excess. You don't want to put on a lot of this because that can counteract and be counterproductive towards what you're trying to do. You know, usually when you do your hair and somebody says dime size amount, you're like, yeah, okay, you put on as much as you want. That's not the case for primer. You want a small amount so that you put it on It puts a thin, even layer over your face. That's all you need. You don't need any more. If you put on too much, especially if you're using a silicone-based primer, you'll start to get it like balling up, or you'll get excess, and that can be counterproductive. You don't really want that, because that can also be a waste of the product that you're paying for. So you want to make sure that when you're putting it on, you're not doing too much. You just do a little bit, and then if you feel like you need more, then you can go back and add more. So do you need a primer really? Is it something that's mandatory and that you really need to add to your makeup foundation? I would say absolutely. You don't want to continue to pound and pound different products into your skin without putting a barrier between your skin, especially if you're using drugstore products. A lot of times the reason drugstore products don't cost as much as high end is because used products that aren't necessarily as high quality as they do if you're shopping in prestige. So when you're using makeup, you definitely want to make sure there's a barrier and you're using something to protect your skin. Additionally, you want to make sure that the makeup that you put on lasts as long as it can. You know, your face is not going to stay in the same state unless you're literally sitting completely still, not sweating, not building any oils, not getting dry. Your skin is like not doing any type of movement at all. You're going to need a primer because your skin is going to change, which is going to affect the way that products continue to react and lay on your face. I'm not telling you that if you put on a primer, your makeup is going to last for the entire day. You're not going to have to touch up, but it's definitely going to help with longevity in comparison to if you don't wear one. So I definitely think that primer is something that everyone should wear always. Moving on. How to pick the primer for you. There are lots of different primers in the line. They all do lots of different things. They have lots of different ways that they cater to the skin and to different types of skin. And I want to help you guys break down and understand how to pick out the one that is going to be good for you. So number one, a lot of companies, when they produce a foundation, they create a primer to go with it. A lot of times they create those and formulate those so that they can work better together. Like they create them literally for each other to go with each other, and they're probably going to wear the best with one another. That's not always the case for everyone, because everyone's skin is different, so everyone's skin is going to react different. However, definitely look into making sure that if a foundation is created and it has a primer with it, you test it out to see if it works. Make sure you're paying attention to labels and what the primer says, because a lot of times it's going to tell you how it performs. If it says oil control, most of the time it's not going to have a lot of oil in it. So if you're dry, you probably don't need that because your body isn't producing mass amounts of oil. If anything, you need something that's hydrating and going to put moisture in your skin. So you're going to want to go the opposite way. Make sure you read the labels and see what it says, but then also look at the ingredients. You know, if you try a silicone-based primer and you don't like it, then make sure that when you're looking and shopping for primers, you try something that is silicone-free. There are lots of different formulas, lots of different ways that they react. Make sure you read the labels, see what they say, pay attention to your skin type, and think about how compatible that's going to be. Just because one primer is doing really well on the shelves, it's selling a lot, you hear everybody talking about it, doesn't mean it's going to be good for you. Don't assume that just because it works well for one person that it's going to work for you. And I know you're probably like, how do you know if it's not working well? You can better tell if the primer is doing its job and the difference it makes if you're working with products that you already know how they perform, so that you know for a fact that if it's performing different, it's because of the primer. So you know if it's performing better, it's because the primer is doing a great job, but if you say it's doing worse, it's because the primer is not compatible with your skin type. Just another reminder, I'm not naked, y'all. I have on a tube top. Moving on to suggestions. Now that I've given you guys all this information, I want to also give you guys suggestions so that you don't have to just jump in there and pick out your own. I'm going to give 2 suggestions for each category. I'm going to give 2 suggestions for oily, 2 suggestions for combination, and 2 suggestions for dry skin. Each I'm going to be giving a drugstore option and a high-end option, so you guys have variety. When it comes to oily, for drugstore, I'm going to suggest the NYX Angel Veil Primer. A lot of people love this primer, and I want to say there's like a high-end one that this is supposed to be a dupe for. Not really sure, but everybody I know that's oily loves this primer, and they think it performs amazing. Gives a nice finish to the makeup, and it does give a lot of longevity to the wear of makeup. This one is a little bit on the pricier end for drugstore, so I do apologize for that. However, I definitely feel though if you're going to splurge on any makeup product, primer is one of the ones that you should probably make a higher invest for, just because it's helping with your skincare as well, not just the way your makeup wears. For oily skin, when it comes to high end, I'm going to suggest the Becca Ever Matte Poreless Primer. This is for people that are super oily. It gives a lot of oil control and makes your makeup last a long time throughout the day. It wears really nice, really pretty. However, if you're combo and you're even just a little bit dry, do not get this. Great for oily skin though. So This is drugstore suggestion. This is high end. And onto combination skin. When it comes to combination skin for drugstore, I'm going to suggest the Maybelline Master Prime Primer. It does a really good job of like balancing oils, but at the same time not being super mattifying and drying skin out, and being able to balance the hydration that's already in the skin. If you have dry skin, you could probably get away with using this too. And if you're not super oily, you could. That's why I'm putting it in the combo section. It is really great, super affordable, great option. When it comes to high-end products for combination skin, I'm going to suggest the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. This is a primer that a lot of people obsess over and love. It has really good oil control, makes you look super smooth. Like, it is a really great primer. And then additionally, they have like a whole line of photo finish primers. So if you don't like the original, there are lots of different variations for people with different skin types. It is really good. So even if you're not combo, you can probably find a photo finish that is fitting for you. This is my suggestion for drugstore for combo, and this is high end. On the dry, when it comes to drugstore primers for dry skin, I'm going to suggest the Puff Puff Primer by E.L.F. This is a great primer. I love it so much. I'm wearing it right now. It's so nourishing. It is a little thick, so a little goes a long way, but it keeps you hydrated and balanced. Because it is a little thick, if you put on too much, it might feel like a cream, so make sure you're not putting on excess amount, but it is a great primer for a really low price. When it comes to high-end for dry skin, I'm going to suggest the Makeup Forever Step 1 Skin Equalizer. This is a primer just like Smashbox that has different variations of this primer. And for this one, I would say there are two that are probably dedicated to dry skin. I know there's a nourishing one and there's a hydrating one. Both of those work really well for dry skin, and they give a great balance, something great for your products to stick to and give a lot of longevity throughout the day. That's it on my suggestions for primers. If you guys wanted more, I always make sure to put more suggestions for this series in the description box, so make sure to check out the description box. Any information that I forgot to say in this video or I left out will also be in that description box, so always make sure to check there for extra learning. If you guys want to see this look I did for Pride, make sure to go check out my Instagram for a tutorial. And that's gonna be it for today's video. If you liked what you saw, then give this video a thumbs up, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe to join the Jam Fam. Make sure to hit the little bell so that you can get notifications next time I post the next episode of From the Top. That was it. This is it. That was it. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'm out.